Most of the herbs of Azeroth are very easy to sell with a fairly good price. On the other hand, you should keep in mind that when Wrath of the Lich King launches, the price of the herbs is going to skyrocket. As you may know, in Wrath of the Lich King we'll get a new profession called Inscription. It's very similar to jewel crafting in terms of getting resources. Basically, it works the same way you get materials by prospecting ores. First you need some herbs, then you mill them into inks, which you can use with Inscription. You get the same ink from herbs of the same level though, so this means that if for example Goldthorn is more expensive than Fadeleaf, you can just stockpile Fadeleaf instead of Goldthorn. The point is that only the level of herbs matter, the actual kind of the herb you mill doesn't. You can just keep the herbs that are cheap now and sell those that have a higher price. I recommend that you keep all the herbs with the following exceptions: Purple Lotus, Swift Thistle, Heart of the Wild, Ghost Mushroom and Grom's Blood. These are used now and have a good price, so you should sell these now. Without turning this video into an inscription guide, let's have a look at the leveling steps and materials of it, as it does have an impact on the market. First is Alabaster Pigment. You need about 110 of the herbs that give this. You can get it from Silverleaf, Peacebloom and Earthroot. Next is Dusky Pigment. You need about 80 of the following herbs: Swift Thistle, Stranglecap, Mage Royale, Bruiseweed and Briarthorn. The third is Golden Pigment. For this level gather White Steel Bloom, Life-Root, King's Blood and Grave Moss. Get about 180 of these. Next is Emerald Pigment. You'll need about 200 of the following: Winter's Bite, Khadgar's Whisker, Goldthorn or Fadeleaf. You'll need Violet Pigment from Ghost Mushroom, Grom's Blood, Sungrass, Purple Lotus, Fire Bloom, Blindweed or Arthas Tears. Get about 160 of these. After that you'll have to get about 100 silvery pigment giving herbs. These are Icecap, Mountain Silver Sage, Plague Bloom, Golden Sandsam and Dreamfoil. You are done now with the Azerothian herbs, so let's go over to the ones from Outland. This is pretty simple, just get 260 of any of them. As you can see, you'll need a bunch of every level, so you can really not go wrong by stocking any of them. Some changes in enchanting will go hand in hand with the introduction of Inscription. This is because two of the items you can make with Inscription. One is Armor Vellums and the second is of course Weapon Vellums. You can put enchants on these, then they can be used to put that enchant on a piece of gear, so you won't need to spam the trade chat for an enchant, you can just buy an enchanted vellum of the auction house. This means that lower level enchants that you only use for leveling enchanting do not necessarily go into waste. Sometimes they can be sold on the auction house, obviously not for much, but still you'll be able to make some gold. This means leveling enchanting will be a bit cheaper overall, so if you want to level enchanting for Wrath, wait until pre-patch. Another change on enchanting will be a recipe added in TBC in Phase 5, which is Void Shatter. You will need a Void Crystal for this, and you can make 2 large prismatic shards. Skadoosh! So if you have a bunch of large prismatic shards, just get rid of them by the end of Phase 4 because their price will plummet. There will also be added a new weapon enchant in Phase 4 called the Executioner, which will require 3 elixirs of major strength. This could potentially raise the price of Felweed and Mountain Silver Sage. Keep an eye on that. With Phase 3 we are getting epic gems which can be mined in Hyjal or can drop from Black Temple trash mobs. But in Phase 5 the Isle of Quel'Danas is being brought into the game, and with it 2 vendors that sell these epic gems for Badges of Justice. This means that you can monetize your otherwise fairly useless badges, even if you cannot use them for any of your professions. I mean, you could buy Primal Nether, but if you're, let's say, engineer and miner, then it's still worthless. Temporarily maybe the price of the epic gems will go down a bit because of this, but on the long run this shouldn't really change their price. So all this means basically that you may just be able to make some money with all your useless heroic runs. Keep that in mind as well. So I think I found a way to print gold. It's not that amazing, but you can make some 100 gold while AFKing in a city and having a meeting with your boss or whatever. You see, there's this item called Arcanowave Bracers. It can be made with tailoring, and as it is a rare item, you can disenchant it into a large prismatic shard. This bracer is otherwise useless, so there's no point trying to sell it on the auction house. But let's see what you need to make one of these. You'll need 6 bolts of netherwave cloth, that means 36 netherwave cloths altogether, 12 arcane dusts and 2 rune threads. The price for netherwave cloth on my server is about 15 to 25 silver each, so let's count with 20. Arcane dust goes for about 1.7 gold each, and rune thread can be bought from vendors for about 0.5 gold each. Add that up and you'll get about 28.6 gold for crafting price. The reason why it's worth is because the large prismatic shard you get by disenchanting goes for easily more than 30 gold at launch of phase 3, selling sometimes for 39. So if you have some money to invest, you can find some of these items for a good price and can AFK craft in the middle of a city for some time. You can easily make some money. But don't forget, you cannot do this after phase 5 has launched. Also, don't tell anyone about this, wink wink. By the way, the same goes for Sylvan Shoulders. This is a vanilla item that can be disenchanted into small prismatic shard though. You'll need 10 rune cloths, 4 living essences, and 2 iron web spider silks. Now, the latter can be a bit of an issue, as it is kind of a rare item that drops from only high-level vanilla spiders. Sometimes its price is unreasonably high, but sometimes they can be bought for 2 gold on my server, and with that the crafting price drops to about 7.6 gold, which is nice because like that you can make a 3 to 5 gold profit per item by disenchanting them.